Hello everybody, it's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for Jashana Made Me Do It. So this is the fourth in my series of videos where I have been choosing one booktuber and choosing a few books that they somehow have inspired me to pick up and reading those books, or trying them at least. Today I am going to be reading books inspired by Jashana from the YouTube channel Jashana. I will link her channel obviously in the description below. I highly recommend that you go and check out her content, subscribe to her channel. I think she's fantastic. I think she's an amazing booktuber. I think she has a lot of really fun things to say about books, and I just really enjoy her channel. So I have been inspired to pick up a few books that she either really loves or that listening to her talk about has made me want to pick up those books in particular. So as I said, this is the fourth installment of this type of video. I will link my playlist for this series in the description below. So I started out with Katie Colson, then I read books inspired by Victoria from What Victoria Read, Willow from Willow Talks Books, and now I'm obviously, like I said, going to be talking about books that I was inspired to pick up by Jashana. As with all of the books that I have talked about previously in previous videos, they aren't necessarily books that I only heard about because of that particular person, but in some fashion, that person talking about those books made me want to pick up and read those books, more so than listening to anyone else potentially has. So let me go through those books now and we can talk about what they're about and why I put them on this TBR. So first up we have City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. Now if you are a subscriber and a watcher of Jashana, then you would know that this is her favourite book. I think it's her favourite book of all time. It's certainly up there in her top 5. She talks about this fairly frequently. She just did a haul video and she got another copy of this book with a different cover, so she collects copies of this book. Yeah, like I said, she talks about it all the time. She also reasonably recently did a my favourite books of all time video, and this was up there on the list. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's her favourite. I'm pretty sure it comes in at number 1, but it's certainly on the top tier list. So listening to Jashana talk about this book multiple times made me want to read it. I actually picked it up from a secondhand bookstore probably 2 or 3 years ago, and it was just because I heard Jashana talking about it and I saw it there and I thought, that's that book that Jashana talks about all the time that really loves, so I have to grab it, which obviously I did. And I haven't read it yet, so now is the perfect opportunity to do so. I'm not 100% sure when this video will go out, so you may have already seen me talk about this book in my August wrap up because I just put this on the TBR for August. I am filming this intro on the 29th of July, so we'll see. It depends on what I get read in August and other things I'm doing in August as to when this goes up. So you may have heard about it already, and if I did end up doing that, I will link my wrap up as well as my TBR down below for you as well. But yeah, this is a historical fiction set in New York in the 1940s. So let me read the blurb to you. Life is both fleeting and dangerous, and there is no point in denying yourself pleasure or being anything other than what you are. It is the summer of 1940. 19-year-old Vivian Morris arrives in New York with her suitcase and sewing machine, exiled by her despairing parents. Although her quicksilver talents with a needle have been deemed insufficient for her to pass into her sophomore year of Vassar, she soon finds gainful employment as the self-appointed seamstress at the Lily Playhouse, her Aunt Peg's charmingly disreputable revue theatre. There, Vivian quickly becomes the toast of the showgirls, transforming the trash and tinsel only fit for the cheap seats into creations for goddesses. Here in this strange wartime city of girls, Vivian and her girlfriends mean to drink the heady highball of life itself to the last drop. But there are hard lessons to be learned and bitterly regrettable mistakes to be made. Vivian sees that to live the life that she wants, she must live many lives, ceaselessly and ingeniously making them new. So I think it sounds really interesting, really fun. I enjoy historical fiction. It's obviously not my main genre, but I do really enjoy historical fiction. And yeah, just listening to Jashana talk about how much she loved this book and how much of an impact it's had on her as a person, just how amazing Elizabeth Gilbert's writing style is, made me want to read it. And like I said, I've had this on my shelves for a while. It's about time I picked it up. I really hope I love it because, as I've said, Jashana loves it so much. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote Eat, Pray, Love, which is a non-fiction based on her own experiences, which I read quite a while ago and enjoyed. So I'm very much hoping that, like I said, I will enjoy this one. So that's the first book that we have on this TBR for this video. Next up is The Final Strife by Sarah L. Arafi. I hope that I've said that name correctly. I apologize if that was incorrect. So this is the first, I believe it's a duology, perhaps, fantasy duology, and again, this is a book that Jashana absolutely adores. I've heard quite a few people talk about this book. This author recently came out with another book for another series. I believe it's called Feybound, which I'm very intrigued to read as well. It sounds really, really interesting. But this is the one that I'll be reading for this vlog. So yeah, Jashana loved this book. She has, again, bought special editions for this. She just thought it was really well written, really fun, really interesting, and like I said, listening to her talk about this book made me feel like I wanted to pick it up. I don't know if she's the first person I heard talk about this book, but she was the first person that made me go, hey, that sounds interesting, I want to read that. So I popped it on my wish list. I haven't yet bought it or been gifted it or anything like that. So this is a library copy, but we'll see how we go. If I love it, then who knows, maybe I'll get a physical copy of my very own and pick up the, like I said, I think it's a duology. There's definitely another book after this one, which is called The Battle Drum, but I'm not sure if there's any more in the series. But anyway, so let's see what this one says. The Empire rules by blood. The Actibar, a set of The Actibar, a set of trials held every 10 years to find the next Ember rulers of the Empire, is about to begin. Scylla was destined to win the trials. Stolen by blue-blooded rebels as an infant, she was raised with a duster's heart, forged as a weapon to bring down the Empire from within. That bright future has turned to dust. But Scylla wasn't made to sparkle, she was born to burn. And as the trials draw near, it's time for her to decide, will she rule the Empire or destroy it? So that sounds really, really fun. I believe that it is a series about there are people with different coloured blood and it's a different hierarchy depending on the colour of your blood or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how it works. But yeah, I've just heard such good things about it from other people as well. But like I said, in particular from Jashana, and it was definitely listening to Jashana talk about this book that made me really want to pick it up. So I'm very excited to put this on the TBR as well and give it a read. And then the final book on this list I don't actually have, which I will hopefully be borrowing from the library or potentially, I'm not sure, I'll get access to it somehow. But let me just find out what it's called. Where did I put my phone? Okay, so the final book is So Many Beginnings by Bethany C. Morrow. This is a Little Women remix, I think is how you'd best describe it. So it is, as you can see on the cover, it is about 4 sisters, black sisters. Yeah, and it's a retelling of Little Women, but they are black rather than white. So let's read what Goodreads has to say about it. 4 young black sisters come of age during the American Civil War in So Many Beginnings, a warm and powerful YA remix of the classic novel Little Women by national best-selling author Bethany C. Morrow. North Carolina, 1863. As the American Civil War rages on, the freedmen's colony of Roanoke Island is blossoming. A haven for the recently emancipated, black people have begun building a community of their own, a refuge from the shadow of the old life. It is where the March family has finally been able to safely put down roots with 4 young daughters. Meg, a teacher who longs to find love and start a family of her own. Jo, a writer whose words are too powerful to be contained. Beth, a talented seamstress searching for a higher purpose. Amy, a dancer eager to explore life outside her family's home. As the 4 March sisters come into their own as independent young women, they will face first love, healthy struggles, heartbreak and new horizons, but they will face it all together. So I believe this is one in a series of these sorts of remixes where they take a classic story and remix it in some fashion so that it's black characters instead of white characters, or queer characters instead of straight characters, or something like that, or it's gender bent or something like that. So this book I did hear about for the first time ever from Jashana. She just made it sound like it was really, really interesting. She did enjoy it. I'm not sure if she like loved it, if it was her favorite book or anything like that, but she definitely really, really enjoyed it. She said it was really well written. She said the remix aspect of it was really good, and it just sounded really interesting and sounded like something that I definitely wanted to try and pick up. That is why it's on the TBR for this vlog. Again, I haven't picked it up yet, and I heard about it quite a while ago, so I really want to read it. I don't think I've heard anyone else talk about it other than Jashana, so I'm intrigued to read it and see obviously what it's like and what Jashana loves about it, but also why it might not be getting attention from elsewhere. But yeah, it just sounds really cool. Like I said, it's one in a series and then written by different authors. I'm not sure if it's something that's commissioned by a particular publisher or something like that, but anyway, it's one in a series, and some of the others sound really interesting as well. I don't think Jashana's read some of the others. I don't think she's loved all of them, but anyway, this is the one that I heard about first. This is the one that intrigued me the most, and this is the one that I'll be reading for this vlog. So it is a vlog, you know how that works. It means obviously I'll be jumping in and talking to you about the books as I go through, and at the end I'll come through and have a bit of a discussion about how I went in general. The idea with these books and these vlogs is, again, like I said, I'm picking books that I was inspired in some way for some reasons by different YouTubers. So in this particular one, we have 3 books the YouTubers really liked and the YouTuber, Jashana, really liked and has talked about in such a way that made me think it sounded amazing and really wanted to pick up. All of these books seem like the kind of thing that would be within my comfort zone in previous videos, as you would know if you've watched them. I haven't necessarily loved all of the books, or I've enjoyed them but not a huge amount, and I've definitely had some that have really forced me out of my comfort zone. But in this one, we have a historical fiction, we have a remix of a classic, which I did enjoy. Yeah, I've read Pretty Women, Little Women, and enjoyed that one, so I know the source material as well. And then we have a fantasy and a historical fiction, all of which I've read, so I think I'll really enjoy all of the books, but fingers crossed that I do. But yeah, that's what we're doing with this video. Those are all the books that I'm going to read for my Jashana Made Me Do It vlog. And the next time you see me, I'll be talking about the book I picked up first and how we're going with it. So yeah, see you soon.
Hello. So it is time to start The Final Strife by Sarah L. Arafi. I decided that this would be my first read of the vlog because it's due back at the library soon, so I really need to read it. Yeah, I actually read the first couple of chapters in a try chapter vlog that I did a couple of days ago, so I will link that in the description below if you're interested. But yeah, I am excited to give this a try and see what I think of it. And I'll chat with you when I'm somewhere through reading some of it. I don't know at what point, but definitely halfway, but it might be sooner. But yeah. Hello. So I have started The Final Strife. I have read the first 5 chapters, which is up to page 52. So I haven't read a lot. I'm not sure what I think. I mean, I haven't read a lot, like I said. There are 400 and once you get rid of all the acknowledgements and whatnot, there are 466 pages. So I'm not very far through at all, but I don't really know how I feel about it. It is, sorry, the background noise is the vacuum cleaner. It is intriguing, but I'm confused is, I think, the main thing. So it's very much a tell, which is great because obviously that's, you know, really good storytelling. But, I mean, show. It's a very much show, not show, don't tell. It's very much show. So we kind of are a bit confused at the beginning about what exactly is going on and who the various hierarchy people are, etc. Sorry, I feel like I don't look great today. I think I'm just getting end of trimester weird marks. Like, I just feel blur. Look at that. Look at all those dots. That's so weird. I don't know what's going on there. That's not normally. Anyway, not important. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. I just found myself being really confused. It's started to clear up a little bit, but then something else happened that felt really like all this. I don't know. It's like it's all this stuff is going on that's like totally unexplained, and it's like dropped you in the middle of, you know, an ongoing story, which is fine as far as world building and authenticity goes, but there needs to be a little bit more explanation because otherwise I'm just confused. But like I said, I'm not very far into it, so, you know, I do need to give it a bit more of a shot. But anyway, I thought I'd jump on and tell you how I'm going with it at the very beginning, and I'll come back and let you know as I go through. Peanut. Hello. Again. It is the same day, and I've actually decided that I'm going to listen to so many beginnings on audio, just because that seems to be the easiest way to get my hands on it. And I'm actually gonna listen to it concurrently to the final strife. I haven't been doing that with these vlogs, no particular reason, but I'm just kind of trying to be focusing on one book at a time. But I think it'll be okay. It's different format and everything. Anyway, so I'm actually going to go for a walk, and I'm going to start listening to that while I am doing my walk. So I thought I would say, excuse me, that I am about to start reading that book, and I'll check in with you on how that's going as well. Hello, Pistachio. Hi. So I am up to part 2 of Final Strife, and I'm definitely much more intrigued by it than I was. It's starting to get quite interesting, and I don't feel quite as confused, so that's good. I don't really have much else to say, but I just wanted to say that I'm enjoying it more now. So I'm up to 108, which means that I am just under a quarter of the way through, which is good. I'm currently sprinting on my channel, and I'm hoping to read quite a bit of it today, if not all of it today. So wish me luck. But anyway, I'll pop in probably when I'm halfway through, and yeah, we'll see how we're going then. But I'm not sure it'll be a favourite, but definitely enjoying it. So that's always good. But yeah, see you later. Hello. So it's been a few days, and I am halfway through the final strife. I'm enjoying it. It took a little while to get into, which I think I did say, but now I'm intrigued to see what's going on, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't say it was like a favorite. Like, a lot of people have really loved this book, and I'm not necessarily as invested as they were, including Jashana. But it's good. It's enjoyable. It's intriguing. It's reasonably well written. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm liking the 2 main characters, Sila and Anor, and I'm interested to see how their situation develops. Yeah, don't really have a lot to say right now, to be honest, but I thought that since I was halfway done, I should probably fill you in on how I'm feeling about everything. So yeah, that's pretty much me at the moment. I guess I'll jump in when I have something else to say. Hi. So, I finished The Final Strife and I ended up really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. I cannot remember what the core power score was, but it was around sort of 7.5, 8 out of 10. So I think that's pretty good. It was a little slow, as I said in the beginning. So I couldn't give it 5 stars because it was a little bit slow and took me a little while to get into. However, I do think that's partly the mood that I'm currently in. I am finding that reading is a little bit slow for me at the moment. I'm finding that I am quite distractible and that I'm really tired all the time. So I do end up kind of having a lot of naps. So yeah, it's possibly the mood that I was in. But I did enjoy it. I thought that it was well put together. I thought it was well structured. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the way that they interacted with each other. I liked, there's a big element of a competition, magical competition throughout it. And that's kind of the main crux of the story, but it's not really, if that makes sense. So there's that is the foreground, but then in the background there's all the other things going on that you learn about, to do with the structure of the empire and to do with the different blood. So there's 3 different groups of people who have 3 different coloured blood. So there's the red blood people who are the embers, who have the main power, and then there's the dusters who have blue blood, and then there's the ghost things who have translucent blood. And your blood signifies whereabouts in the structure of society you are, and the embers have the most amount of power. And we learn throughout the book about how that kind of came about. There's also, everyone in the empire believes that the empire is the only land around, but it turns out that maybe that's a lie. So there's a lot of stuff that's being revealed as you go through, a lot of secrets hidden. And the main plan initially, when Scylla was kidnapped, and a bunch of other embers were kidnapped and raised by dusters, was so that they would then take over. They would become leaders of the embers, but they would have been raised as dusters, so they would have a different perspective. I don't know that was really ever going to work very well. I don't think that was a great, it doesn't seem like that was a very well thought out plan. But you kind of learn a bit more about that and how that's been put together, and why why that was thought out, and different things like that. And then and then in amongst all that, there's also just personal development of the characters. There's the love story between Scylla and Anor. So there's a lot going on, and I thought it was done really well. I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to be reading The Battle Drum, and I think there's a 3rd book out now, which I cannot remember, The Ending Fire. So I'll get my hands on that at some point as well. But yeah, I did enjoy it. So I definitely think that Jashana has got one point for Jashana. For getting me to read a book that I was kind of vaguely, I've heard other people talk about it, I was kind of vaguely intrigued by it, but her love for it is what made me decide definitely to pick it up. So I finished that. I am now, I think, a quarter of the way through The City of Girls, which I'm also really enjoying. Very different book, historical fiction. Kind of historical fiction, but contemporary vibe. It's not, there's no magic, there's no anything, there's just a bunch of people being people in the world that existed. But it's fun, it's well written, and I'm enjoying that one. And then I'm also listening to So Many Beginnings, which I'm also enjoying. I need to I haven't. It's been a long time since I read Little Women, and I need to brush up on my knowledge of Little Women before I continue with. Well, no, maybe not before I continue, but whilst I'm reading So Many Beginnings, because there's a lot of talk about slavery and freed people, and there's a lot of discussion about that in So Many Beginnings, and I don't remember there being really any discussion about that in Little Women, but thinks that was the Civil War was what they were fighting, where the dad was off fighting. So I need to look into that a little bit more because I can't really remember. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. It's fun to read this remix of Little Women. So I'm excited to see where that one goes. So yeah. So that's an update. Sorry, it's not super in depth, but it's an update. Yeah. So Final Strife is definitely a winner for Jashana and me, and we will see how we go with the other two. Talk to you soon.
Oh, Dory Peanut.
So, I am about 2/3 of the way through City of Girls. So, our main character had a threesome with her friend's husband and her friend, and they were caught kissing out the front of the club to begin with, and then a bunch of photos were taken. And they managed to convince the person not to put her name in the paper, but the it's all splashed over New York, and the friend knew about it, and she was really, really harsh, which is understandable, but really, really harsh, to our main character Vivian, and Vivian reacted extremely. She's 20 years old, so you know. She basically was like, "I'm leaving New York," and so she left New York, went to stay with her parents, and since she was trying to be like a good girl, and she met a boy, and they were going to get married, but then he went to war, and he's like, "It's not fair on you," but she's quite happy because she doesn't actually want to marry him. So that's where we're at with the plot. I'm feeling a little bit conflicted here because I'm enjoying it. It's well written. I like the way the characters are done, but I think because Jashana loves this so much and it's like her favorite book, and I'm not getting that out of it, and I just feel a bit like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for the like moment where like, oh, okay, yes, I get it. This is like the best thing ever. But I'm kind of feeling bad about not loving it. If that makes sense. But I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I am enjoying it. Definitely intrigued by what's going to happen. I definitely like the writing style. It's very, very easy to read. And the character, like, I don't love the character to be completely honest, but I like the way they're written. So yeah, we'll see how we go. But I just wanted to update you on sort of how I'm feeling 2/3 in, and I'll talk to you later.
Hello. So, it is 6 months since I last updated you. The intention was to get all these books read and the vlog finished and uploaded by the end of September, so 2024, so that I could have the video as one of my final videos before I went on my maternity leave from the channel, because baby was due on the 10th of October. But some stuff happened and I ended up having to have the baby a couple of weeks early. So they were born at the end of September, which meant that I really wasn't in the right headspace, didn't have the capacity to finish a vlog. I wasn't listening to audiobooks, and I wanted to read a little bit more about the sort of historical setting of Little Women so that I could get an idea of what was sort of the intention of So Many Beginnings. So yeah, so as you know, because it hasn't been many months for you since we were last on my books, but I read the Final Strife and City of Girls, as well as So Many Beginnings before this vlog, and I finished Final Strife and City of Girls, and I have talked about both of those in wrap-ups, but I hadn't yet finished So Many Beginnings. And I ended up not picking it up again until February. And the reason for that was, like I said, I wanted to look in a little bit more detail into the historical setting of Little Women. Because So Many Beginnings was very focused on the end of slavery, so it's post the end of slavery. It's post the proclamation, but there's still a lot of, obviously a lot of racism. They're still very much feeling, I mean, I know that people are feeling the effects of slavery today, but they're still feeling very much the effects of slavery. The main characters were slaves until the beginning of the book, so I really felt like I needed to kind of look into how is this related to Little Women, because it's been a while since I've read Little Women, but Little Women doesn't really touch on the situation. I know that the father is fighting in the Civil War, and I think he's fighting on the side of the North, the side of let's free the slaves, let's abolish slavery, but it's really not very much touched upon. And so even though you get, you do actually get a lot of, through Joe's character, a lot of talk of sexism and women's place, you don't get a lot of talk about slavery, which is understandable, I guess, because Louisa May Alcott is a white woman, or was a white woman, so I don't think that she necessarily would have had the experience. But I wanted to find out a bit more about sort of what was going on in the background of Little Women. So why was this therefore what was talked about in Sermon Beginnings, which I did do. I actually forgot that I wanted to do that, so I started listening to it again and then went, oh yeah, that's right. So I did, I mean, it was a very minor Google search, it wasn't like in-depth or anything, but I did have a little bit of a look at sort of that historical context, and I can see now why there was such a discussion about slavery and the effects of slavery and the abolishment of slavery and the living circumstances of freed people. So in So Many Beginnings, just like in Little Women, some of the characters travel north, travel to Boston. I believe that's the same as Little Women. And they encounter black people who were always freed people. And it's very interesting to see the way that those people view Jo, particularly because rather than sort of discussing feminism, she's very much discussing slavery and the after effects in her writings. And there's a group in Boston, there's a group of women, black women, who run a newspaper type of thing. And sorry, that's my partner working. They can talk. Hear you talking. He's in a meeting. So they produce this sort of newsletter, newspaper type of thing, and they publish a lot of Jo's writing, but they find some of her writing a little bit too sort of on the nose, and it just shows, you know, that like with any people, it's like black people are not a monolith. Like the experiences of one person or family or group of people is going to be different from another, even if they live in the same country and have had technically the same experiences, because the freed women in Boston weren't always free. Their experience and understanding of slavery is very different from those that experienced it, like Jo. And particularly in regards how she talks about attitude of the freed people of the North, and also the freed people of the North, and also white people of the North. So I found that really, really interesting. Once I had a bit more of a grasp of sort of, I guess, like I said, it's not that like I didn't understand why I was reading a book about slavery. It was more like, how is this specifically related to women as a remix of Little Women? And once I had looked into that a little bit, it made a little sense. But yeah, I did enjoy it. There was a lot of stuff I didn't know. I don't know a lot about the American Civil War and the slavery. I mean, I know some, but you know, I don't know a lot, so it was good to learn a bit more. And I guess it was interesting to see how, even though obviously Louisa May Alcott, even, I don't know when she wrote, but it was much closer to events of Little Women at the time of Little Women than Bethany C. Morrow. It was interesting to see the two different perspectives and why one might broach different conversations. So that was really interesting, and I enjoyed that. It was overall, I can't remember what I gave it, but overall it was quite a good book. I don't think I think I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't like a favourite, and even though it was interesting and I feel like it's important, I can't give it a high rating just because, you know, based on enjoyment. But I can definitely give it a high rating based on like what I learned and the importance of it. But in terms of my experiences in this vlog, so I think I mentioned previously, I assume I did, that I was definitely interested in the Final Strife and that trilogy, which I've actually read the whole trilogy now. Jashana was one of the people that definitely talked me into it, and I was very intrigued by what she had to say about it and her excitement over it. So she was the kind of person that really pushed me to read it and put it very much on my radar. But other people have spoken about it, and it sounds like the kind of thing I'd be interested in. City of Girls, I was interested, but it was simply because of Jashana. I don't know that I've heard anyone else talk about that book on BookTube, but of course Jashana loves the book. I'm a little bit disappointed because I didn't love it as much as I was hoping to based on Jashana's love for it. And I sort of feel like, hopefully she doesn't think I've let her down, but I sort of feel like I've let her down a little bit. But I think it's just one of those things where when someone you really likes something, it's hard not to put it on a bit of a pedestal, and then you have higher expectations than maybe you should. Like, maybe I would have enjoyed it more had I not had the expectations that I did. But that's okay, I still enjoyed it, I still thought it was interesting. And then So Many Beginnings, like I said, I did enjoy. Will I read anything else? Now this, again, I think I mentioned this, but this is a project that I don't know who's doing the project, but I'm pretty sure that there is a bunch of different remixes which do a similar thing where they sort of look at a particular book and do a remix of that book in a, like, looking at it from the point of view of slavery, or looking at it from the point of view of homophobia, or whatever it might be. And so they, rather than having a white woman write a book about white women, they have black woman write a book about black women, but keeping very much in that same vein of Little Women. So they've got the 4 March sisters, their names are this, they would have similar characteristics, similar type of people, etc. So I know Jashana has read another one, which I cannot remember for the life of me what it was, but I know she has read another one in this series. And as far as I can tell, I don't know who's organising it, but there's a group of authors have been asked, so it's different authors each time, have been asked to write these remixes. So I'm interested. I think there's one that I was quite interested in reading and picking up, which is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but I cannot remember that, what it's called either. But anyway, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if I come across it. I really appreciate the effort, and I thought it was really interesting and, yeah, different perspective to read from, so that's really great. And yeah, I've read the entire trilogy of the Final Strife series now, and I got much more invested as I went on. So obviously I ended up really enjoying the Battle Drum. The Final Strife, but I love the Battle Drum, which is the second book in the series, and then I ended up finishing the whole trilogy, which is super amazing. I'm really happy that I did that, because I don't tend to do that. And I definitely get why Jashana loves the series. I think I enjoyed the ending Fire a little bit more than she did, but I thought they were amazing. I'm definitely really glad that I read that series. I'm glad I read all the books. I thought they were pretty good. I enjoyed them all. Not as much as I was hoping to, but that's okay. I think in the other books, vlogs even, of this series, I have had a similar experience where I've enjoyed one or two quite a lot, and then maybe not so much the others. I would say this is probably the most successful of the 3 though. So of the 4, I should say, that are out so far. So I think Katie's, the first one, Katie Colson, was the least successful, but I kind of knew that going in. I knew that I wouldn't love Bunny. I ended up loving Every Day That My Hand Gets Longer and Longer, and then I DNF'd Alone With You in the Ether. So definitely I didn't have, that's the first and only one I've had DNFs in so far. Victoria's did pretty well, although the, what's it called? The Dystopian by Augustina Bastarrica. Why can I remember the author's name, not the, anyway. It will be on screen. I'll make sure to put it on screen because I can't remember what it's called. That one was not, but I knew again that I wouldn't love it. About cannibalism and so on. I feel like Willow Talks books, well, Ink Blood Sister Scribe was definitely up there. It was definitely one of my favourites of last year, so it was a very good success. But I feel like having this one had the most books that was most successful, because I did enjoy all three. And I didn't love, like I said, City Girls the way Jashana does, but that's okay. I still did enjoy it quite a lot. So I feel like this was, yeah, like I said, the most successful vlog out of the series so far, which is really exciting. And definitely makes me want to go ahead and pick up a lot more books that Jashana has read and enjoyed. I mean, I feel like, I don't really know Jashana particularly, but I feel like we have a very similar taste. So I already kind of knew that there was a lot of stuff I'd be interested in reading of hers that she's recommended, but this just makes me really definitely want to prioritize some of the stuff. But yeah, so finally I'm ready to put this vlog out into the world after many months. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if you read any of the books that I have read for this vlog and what you thought of those. Let me know if there's anyone in particular that you would like me to do this with. I do have a bunch of different people that I'm interested in doing a similar vlog, but let me know if there's anyone in particular like to see me try their reading taste and see what I think. And yeah, if you have any other comments or thoughts, just please drop that in the comments below. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me a kind of neutral no, then leave me a like happy emoji, I guess, because we're happy that we've enjoyed the books. I was going to say neutral because I'm a little bit disappointed by how I reacted to City of Girls, but no. I think overall most successful, so we'll go with a happy emoji. And yeah, like I said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, I will see you next time.